Now I would request Tara Didi to inaugurate the event with lighting a lamp. Thank you, Tara Didi. Would you like to say something? Tara Didi is a doer. She doesn't speak much. Om Tat Savitur Varam Rupam Jyoti Parasya Dhimahi Yanna Satyena Deepaye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The lighting of the lamp with which we began, and usually many functions begin, is symbolic of our prayer for the lighting of that lamp, which is embodied in this mantra, Sri Aurobindo's Gayatri mantra that I just recited, Jyotihi Parasya, the light of the divine. That's the light that we want to awaken within us. And it's symbolized by starting the event with lighting a lamp. My dear brothers and sisters, boys and girls, can you hear me? First of all, welcome to all of you to the Yes.01 course. And thank you for being here this day. Morning for many of you, morning for us here, and maybe afternoon or evening for some of you there in other parts of the world. Thank you for the overwhelming response to this course. And within 1 month of announcing it, we have about 600 participants, of whom many are actually attending the event today. We are having this event this year in 2022, which is a special year because this is the year in which we have the 150th birth anniversary of Sri Aurobindo, and also the 75th anniversary of the independence of India as an independent nation. Both these events coincide not just in terms of the year, but to the day, because Sri Aurobindo's birthday and India's Independence Day are both on the 15th of August. Within the year 2022, the 12th of January, that is today, is once again a very special day because it is the birthday of Swami Vivekananda, which is also celebrated in India as the National Youth Day. Swami Vivekananda was one of the pioneers, one can say, in fact, in a way, the first one to do two important things. One was to awaken India once again to its greatness, something which we had ourselves forgotten over a period of about 1,000 years. So it was he who woke us up after about 1,000 years of slumber and made us realize what a sleeping tiger we are, and that we need to wake up and take charge of our affairs and once again work hard to return to the glory that was till the period about 1,000 years ago. So it was after a lapse of about 1,000 years of this decline that the country had suffered that Swami Vivekananda woke us up once again. And to some extent because of this decline, to some extent because of the slavery and the image that had been created of the country, Swami Vivekananda did another important thing. He once again made the world aware of India, its spiritual culture, and what role that culture could play in creating a better world, in dealing with the problems that had started surfacing even at the time when he went to Chicago in 1893, the problems which were created by the scientific and technological development, which was in a way good, but at the same time had led to a sequence of events which had made the world, particularly the Western world, materially saturated, but spiritually starved. And he was the one who made them see that wisdom which could be brought into the world, which could be brought into worldly life, and could play an important role in dealing with the basic problems of human existence, such as inequality, injustice, miseries, and suffering. And this, therefore, his address at Chicago in 1893 became a landmark event, which was the beginning of India getting a new image all over the world. So, in fact, to some extent, what he did for India and what he did for the world are interrelated, because unless India wakes up, the world will not take notice of us. And at the same time, unless he conveyed that wisdom to the world would not take note of us. So these were two interrelated events, and he was a pioneer in this. And this happened in the year 1893, and he was born on the 12th of January, 2020. Sorry, born on the 12th of January in 1863. So when he was just 30 in 1893, he went to the Parliament of Religions in Chicago and delivered this famous address, which started with "My brothers and sisters of America." And that short address earned him a large number of disciples. And instead of coming back after just attending that Congress, the Parliament of Religions, he ended up spending a few more years, first in the US and then in the UK, before returning to India. So that is one thing. And then on the same day, that is the 12th of January, in the year 1893, once again, Sri Aurobindo returned to India. That was the day on which he boarded the ship that brought him back from London to India after a 14-year stay in England. So that's another historical fact. Call it trivia or whatever you may, but all the same, that coincidence does exist. And then what Swami Vivekananda did, in a way, Sri Aurobindo carried on further, because he once again became one of the most powerful exponents of Indian culture, woke up this country to its greatness, and emphasized, like Swami Vivekananda, that spirituality was not something to be practiced in the Himalayas or in a cave. It was not something meant only for old age. It was something that all of us could bring into our everyday life, as India had been doing till about 1,000 years ago. And the result was that till about 1,000 years ago, India was not only spiritually in the forefront, but was also, in terms of material or scientific progress, second to none in the world. And therefore, spirituality and worldly life are not really incompatible. And that was one of the things that both Swami Vivekananda and Sri Aurobindo emphasized. And this life-affirming version of spirituality was something which permeates all through the works of both Swami Vivekananda and Sri Aurobindo. Further, this basic philosophy of bringing spirituality into worldly life was given a practical shape by the mother at Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Pondicherry, which was formally established in the year 1926. So in a way, sort of, it has been a continuous movement which has affected India and affected the world, and brought back once more the life-affirming version of spirituality, which is something that carries in it the hope of wiping out the problems of human existence. So that is the significance of the 12th of January. Swami Vivekananda's birthday and the return of Sri Aurobindo to India. This is the first time that we are conducting an event like this online. At least for me, it's the first time. And therefore, there might be some errors and some glitches. And I hope you'll pardon me. And I would not have been able to do it on my own at all unless I had a team of dedicated young people, one of whom, Aditi, is sitting by my side and manipulating the controls and who has been communicating with you. There are many more who are not, who have escaped the limelight, but without the help from all these youngsters, it would not have been possible. And I still apologize if there are any glitches, and I believe that you are able to hear me properly. In fact, this entire period from 2022 till now has been a rather special period for the world, during which a lot has changed. Almost to the day in January 2020, we conducted here the certificate distribution function for the 10th batch of those who did the course on teaching yoga with us. And at that time, I could not even have imagined that this annual course, instead of just remaining an annual course conducted in the same way year after year, with about 30 students, would take some other shape. But then came the pandemic. And during this 2-year period, a lot changed. I reconciled myself to doing it online. The mother sent those instruments who could facilitate this type of a change, and encouraged me that yes, it can be done, and that they would help me out with all the technical problems that are there. In fact, they're not problems, but more than problems, some technical issues, which it was not very easy for me to learn. This period of 2 years has in fact opened up the possibilities which I could not have imagined. And the result is that today not only we are having the event, but having it across geographical barriers. And perhaps this is the largest classroom that I have ever had. So it's all sort of something which can be seen as a divine intervention, and one of those little sort of spin-offs of the otherwise not so happy pandemic through which the world has gone through. Now, coming to the course itself, which was what I was going to mainly speak about today. Yes 0.01 is, yes, a yoga course, but then like all the previous courses on teaching yoga that we conducted here, I hesitate to call it a yoga course, and yet go on calling it a yoga course. We go on calling it a yoga course because that is what attracts students. If I call it a course on spirituality, probably not many would be interested. Although it can be done under either of these titles. And yet I hesitate to call it, because calling it a yoga course creates a misunderstanding. Because most yoga courses end up equating yoga with physical postures. That's what people also understand. And that is something unfortunate, but all the same, it is a fact all over the world. That is what strikes people the first. That is the mental image they build up the moment they learn of a yoga course. But then neither the courses that we had earlier nor this one will be a yoga course in that sense as it is commonly understood. Instead, what it would be, as many of the previous students have said after going through the course, a life-changing course. Now, how does it change life? It changes life because it is one of those quirks of nature that by far the highest evolved creature that has come on this planet, that is human beings, are also born with a considerable amount of ignorance. In fact, almost total ignorance about who we are and why we are here. Two basic questions which man has been asking for a long time, but at the same time, we are born in total ignorance of it, and the world can be so engaging, engrossing, and can make us so busy that sometimes we even forget to ask these questions seriously. And the result is that we may end up wasting much of our life in terms of what it is really meant for. And therefore, when there is something that makes us more aware of it, aware of the answers to these questions, answers that have been discovered by the rishis and the mystics and the sages around the world, across traditions, across geographical barriers, but which remain either unknown or just theoretical, interesting possibilities to us. When some crisis in life, some traumatic event, or a course like this, any of these things, if it makes us a little more aware of it, fortunately, human beings also have that little opening that they suddenly become more conscious of these questions and can more consciously live a life which is more meaningful. And that is how a course like this, for some of those who attend it, ends up becoming a life-changing event, during which they suddenly discover that life can be given a new direction, a direction that will make life more meaningful, and at the same time, as a byproduct, bring all those things that they have been actually looking for. What are most of us looking for, in fact? Happiness. And it is possible to live a more meaningful life, a spiritually oriented life, and get the best version of happiness, which is described, therefore, by different words such as joy, delight, bliss, and so on. So instead of happiness, we end up getting a better version of happiness. Happiness which is in our own hands, rather than happiness dependent upon external circumstances. And along with that, we also get a sense of fulfillment, a feeling that I need nothing because I have everything. Now, if anything can give us this type of a combination as a byproduct, then why would not anyone like to live a life like that? And to live a life like that, we don't have to give up what we are doing. We can go on doing what we are doing as students, as professionals, or whatever work that we are engaged in, or even household work, raising children, for example. Whatever we are doing, we can continue doing the same, but by doing it in a different spirit, by doing it with a different attitude, and by making those little changes which makes all this work better in quality, more enjoyable, and at the same time becomes work that is being done from the spiritual angle in the spirit of karma yoga. So the same work can be done in a different way, in a different spirit, so that the work improves, we enjoy the work more, we progress spiritually through the work, which means that we end up fulfilling the genuine purpose for which we are here, and we also make the world a better place to live in, we sweeten our surroundings. So when one discovers that all this is possible, then one starts wondering, why didn't I learn about it earlier? Well, it's never too late to begin. Now I will give a new direction to my life, and I'll live life more meaningfully, life which is full of love, peace, joy, and fulfillment. That is the type of life that I live from now onwards. So that, in fact, is the life-affirming version of spirituality, which Swami Vivekananda talked about, which Sri Aurobindo and the mother have talked about, to which the mother gave a practical shape in Sri Aurobindo Ashram at Pondicherry. And that is what you end up learning through this course. Of course, you learn asanas and pranayamas with which yoga has unfortunately come to be equated. That will be there, and that has a place too. And what is the place? The place is that no matter what type of life we have to live, the basic instruments that we have been given for doing whatever we have to do in this world should be in a good shape. And for whatever we do, what are the instruments we use? A combination of the body and the mind. And therefore, if we improve the performance of the body and the mind by using the yogic techniques, then that helps us in living also a meaningful life. It helps us bring spirituality into our daily lives. So it is the sharpening of the instruments for which these techniques are important. And that, of course, certainly has a place. But then improving the performance of these instruments through these techniques might take only an hour or two in a day. But then we have another 22 hours available to us to use these instruments. And that is also what yoga teaches us. So yoga not only helps us improve the performance of the body and the mind through the techniques, it also guides us on how to use these instruments in our daily life. So it is this guidance which forms the crux of the philosophy underlying yoga. And it is not just a philosophy, which means it's not just a knowledge system, something based on an intellectual exercise. It is something which is based on the deepest truths of existence, which have been discovered by the rishis and the mystics. Only a select few at any point in time, anywhere in the world, but at the same time, there have been enough of them for us to realize that there is probably some truth in it. If so many have realized it over thousands of years, across geographical barriers, across traditions, then there must be something to it. So that is what makes us feel that why not, even if we don't have that experience ourselves, we have not discovered those truths on our own, till we are able to see more than a glimpse of these truths on our own, we can trust those who have seen them and make use of it in making our lives better, happier, healthier, and more meaningful. The course would be based primarily on Sri Aurobindo's and the Mother's teachings, and therefore it's commonly asked, will those teachings or will the works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother be taught in this course? Unfortunately, there won't be enough time to teach those, because it's difficult to do justice to them, even if we had 10 times the time available. So that has to be something which you have to do on your own. But what this course will do is firstly to kindle in you that interest, which might make you turn to the original works. And secondly, it will make it easier for you to understand those works if you turn to them. So that is what it will do. Now, coming to the relationship between this course, Yes.01, and the earlier courses on teaching yoga that we had been doing. The courses on teaching yoga that we had been doing were 200-hour, 20-week courses. That is 200-hour courses. A basic elementary course, has to be 200 hours. So that was the framework we kept in mind. And it was spread over a period of 20 weeks. This course, Yes.01, is the first module of that course. That is the one that deals with yoga and spirituality. And we have plans to follow it up with other modules, so that now over a period of 1 year, over the year 2022, we would have done everything that we were essentially doing in that course on teaching yoga. And therefore, the result will be that by the end of the year, if you continue attending these modules, you would find yourself competent to not only practice yoga in your daily lives, but also teach it to others. The subsequent modules will be on nutrition, health sciences, health and disease, especially in relation to lifestyle diseases. So that is what we'll do in the subsequent modules. So far as the practical part of this module, that is Yes.01, is concerned, the theory will be about yoga and spirituality, the basic philosophy. So far as the practical classes are concerned, what we'll do is to try and take you to a point over a period of these 7 weeks where you will have a simple routine of a few practices, about 20 asanas and 4 pranayamas, and the meditative techniques, which you will be able to practice on your own. So without any further guidance, you will be able to practice these techniques by the end of this course. So that is where it will take you, but you will not be able to you will not feel competent to teach it to others. That's not what will happen by the end of this module. That will happen in the subsequent ones. Now, spreading a course of 20 weeks, as we did earlier, over a period of 1 year, carries a lot of advantages, in fact. Not only it will be more convenient for us and for you to do it, but gives all the students a little more time to digest what they learned. So that is the positive way of looking at it, spreading it out over a period of 1 year. Further, what we have a sort of division that we have is that the eligibility for the subsequent modules, 0.02, 0.03, and so on, will not be having done the previous modules, because these sessions are being recorded and the recordings will be placed on YouTube. We have created a channel corresponding to this course, and you'll find all these videos in a playlist there on YouTube, which means that even those who don't attend a certain module can join a subsequent module and study the material on their own. And those who are doing the course, of course, they can go over that material any number of times if they like to. If they refer to anything again, they can go back to that session once more on YouTube. So it'll be sort of a very flexible and fluid model based on self-learning, based on learning something, what you are really interested in at your own pace. So in a way, it will be sort of free progress. That was one of the characteristics of the system of education proposed by Sri Aurobindo and the mother. And it will be true education and truly free progress education, because you learn what you like and you learn it at your own pace. And the result will be that anybody who's interested, whether he is enrolled for the course or not, will find the material available and will be able to study out of it whatever the person is interested in, as and when she likes, at her own pace. So that is the type of fluid model that we have in mind while designing this course. In fact, this is in keeping with the revolution that education itself has gone through over the last 2 years. The technological possibilities have been existing for a few decades, but they were all grossly underused, being used primarily for board meetings and so on and so forth. But the pandemic and the consequent lockdowns that we had enforced on us online classes for school and college students. It started probably with that, but then many others realized then, as a result of it, other possibilities. Those who had something to teach, something to give to the world, they started floating courses and workshops and all types of events on their own. And they suddenly found that they had the entire world as a potential market for what they could give. And the result was that even those who wanted to make a living out of it could do it at a very low cost. And many of them were not interested in that. And the result was that they offered it free. So excellent material by some of the best teachers suddenly became available to anyone who is interested anywhere in the world at a very low cost or completely free. Now, this was a revolution in education, because this is what educationists had always been talking about, all enlightened educationists, that you should be able to learn what you're truly interested in from a good teacher and learn at your own pace. In fact, some of these things don't happen in formal schooling, because formal schools and colleges have many constraints. And the result is that, in fact, some of the things that happen there are rather uneducational, because the attempt is to try and produce a standardized product who will fit into the world. And that is not in fact what true education should be about. But then here, now in these online events, there's a possibility of taking education nearer to what it really should be. And the result is that one can bring together rather easily the best of teachers in contact with the best of students. And one has who are the best of students? The best of students are those who are really interested in learning, the type of course that they have joined. Because it is basically the student who has to learn. And if the student is really interested in learning, the student will learn. In fact, that is a more important determinant of how much the student will learn than even the quality of the teacher. So, and in fact, that is one of the principles, that is the very first principle of teaching according to Sri Aurobindo, that nothing can be taught. Because students learn not because the teacher teaches, students learn because the students are interested in learning. So learning is an active process, and it is the motivation of the student to learn which is much more important than the capacity of the teacher to teach. Because you can't, in fact, you can't hammer cold iron into shape. So the student is that hot iron, which is thirsty for knowledge, which is willing to learn, keen to learn, and then just a little hint, a little nudge here and there, and the student learns, because in fact, a lot of this knowledge is innate, and the student is able to learn, especially when it comes to subjects like yoga and spirituality. There's a lot of innate knowledge, a lot that has been realized by the person in the course of his life. And then suddenly the person feels, oh, I can identify with it. I have been experiencing it. I didn't put it this way. The course seems to be made for me. All that is being said applies to me so exactly. Now, all that happens because a lot of this wisdom, the spiritual wisdom, is in fact innate, and all what we need is just a little hint, a little push here and there, a little sort of awakening, which widens up that opening, which makes us more receptive to this type of wisdom. So that is all what is required. So this revolution in education has been one of the positive things that has happened. And we, the disciples of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, in fact, look upon it as a very significant step. Because Sri Aurobindo and the Mother's vision was that the world will become a better place. It will become a better place because the evolution so far has now reached a point where the mental consciousness has reached more or less its peak, and the next leap in evolution will take us beyond the intellect, beyond the mental part of the being. And the result will be a change in human nature, because human nature depends basically on the level of consciousness. When we are centered primarily around our body and mind, the consciousness tends to be ego-centered. That is, the person gives exclusive attention to himself or herself. My needs come first, my opinions are better than other people's opinions, and so on and so forth. The next leap will take us to the next level, where human nature will change so that the personality, instead of being ego-centered, will become love-centered, which means that we'll start identifying ourselves with others, start seeing that oneness, which in fact is a far deeper truth than the separation and differences that seem to divide us. So when we start seeing that oneness, it will inspire love. And when it inspires love, we start giving what we have to those who need it. So that is the type of change that will wipe out the problems of human existence, that is inequality, injustice, misery, and suffering. So we can look forward to a better world. And that is sort of the broad vision which Sri Aurobindo and the Mother gave us. The project that they designed for mankind, which will keep us busy for a few centuries, perhaps, if not more. But all the same, that is the vision with which we would like to conduct this course also, and consider that one little drop which will take the world in that direction. So that is the way we look at this course. And in that sense, this revolution in education which the pandemic brought about seems to have given sort of a major push to the world in that direction, because it has made education, the best of education, now possible for everybody so easily. It has made it so accessible. So that is the way we look at this. And in fact, this is something that started sort of touching me so much that I've been talking about it quite a bit, how a sort of education has been taken out of schools and colleges, where in fact some of the things which were happening were just the opposite of what true education is about, like the child's curiosity getting killed instead of getting nurtured, and the spiritual element or the soul getting sort of neglected. We sort of feeling as if that is something which is irrational and unscientific. That is the type of culture that has evolved over the last few hundred years due to progress of science and technology. So the result is that we were somewhat shy and embarrassed when talking about things like the soul. And even if we had a vague, dim awareness of something beyond the obvious, we tended to dismiss it as something inconsequential. So the pandemic made us aware of human limitations, and therefore made us take more serious note of what is beyond the obvious. And on top of that, it opened up this possibility of learning in the true sense. And that has been sort of a big gain of in this development. And therefore, I ended up writing, in fact, an article, Deschooling Education. Deschooling education, that is, this revolution in education has taken education out of schools, education in the true sense of the word. And this was published in the Speaking Tree column of the Times of India. And like everything on everything these days, it's also available on the net even now. And deschooling education. So that is sort of the way I have been looking at the developments in the world and this course. And I'm happy that we are now able to do it this way for large numbers all over the world. And if our intentions coincide with the divine will, we hope that by the end of 2022, we would have offered to the world what we were doing in physical terms for a small number of students every year in those 20-week courses. So with that, I would thank you for listening to a rather long discourse, which I had not planned. I didn't intend it to be that long, but it happened, and I hope it was not all superfluous and useless rambling. Now I think I'll hand it over to Aditi for the next event in this inaugural session.
Hello, everyone. We would like to open the floor in case any one of you would like to share what is your expectation from the course, and if you want to share any thoughts on what Sir just mentioned. So either you can just raise your hand and I'll just unmute you, or you can type it in the chat box. So anybody who would like to share? Yes, madam.
So namaste to everyone, and really excited about this course. I was actually one of the students who had done this course in 2018, the 20-week course that Dr. Bisrani mentioned about. And it was actually in some ways a life changer for me. And I was introduced kind of deeply on this path in 2018, therefore, and I was practicing it. But in the last 2 years, I think it has, like Dr. Bijlani also talked about, the positive aspect has been that there is a much more amount of time available to kind of, judiciously bring in to some of these things. And consciousness is an endless pursuit in my imagination. So the more I try to have a sense of what it means, I think the more fascinating it grows. So I'm really excited about the course, and I also would want to congratulate the team about the design. It sounds very nice that we will have it over the period of 1 year. So for me, in some ways, it would be kind of a refresher, but also much more of new learning. And it's also very nice that we have people from all over the world. So really excited about learning many new things. Thank you so much, and congratulations and best wishes once again to all of you. Thank you.
Hello, I am Navneet from Chandigarh. I just want to know how would you be teaching us Yogasana and Pranayam, because the difference of time zone, we are not waking up early morning to do all these things. Lead through videos which we can watch later in the morning. And second is, could you please share the article in the email, deschooling the education?
Yes, so firstly, I'll share the link for the article with all of you. And in terms of the practical sessions, yes, we'll be providing you the videos, and the same videos will also be available on the YouTube channel. So you can watch it at your convenience and do it as per your time zone and comfort. So that possibility is surely there.
Thank you. And secondly, we are looking for more of a kind of experiential kind of education rather than just the theory about integral yoga, the practices through videos, which we can do it at our own time later on also.
Yes, that will be a part of the course surely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. I just wanted to, first of all, say thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. It's so exciting to be so far away from India and unable to come in person, but still to be with all of you. So thank you for this blessed gift. It comes at a beautiful time when we're all moving into the, I don't know, second year or third year, whatever it is, of this pandemic. So just thank you very much for that. And to ask you if the format will be sort of classroom-like, just to know, like, should we have the yoga mat here, or should we be ready to, just a little bit about the format maybe would be helpful. And just greetings to everybody. Very excited. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. So nice to see you once again from such a long distance. What time is it in Canada? What time of the day is it? I hope it's not very inconvenient.
No, it's fine. It's 9 o'clock in the evening.
Oh, not too late.
So it's good. No, it's perfect. The day is finished. All the responsibilities are finished. It's very good timing. Thank you.
About the format, it will be like a classroom, but then we will have possibilities of forming smaller groups and individual interactions too. And when it comes to the physical practices, there will be a demo with instructions. And what we'll do is we'll follow a graded approach, which means that the first session will have fewer practices and instructions in greater detail, and the simpler ones. With each subsequent session, we'll keep adding a few, 2 or 3 more physical practices, which are a little more difficult, and the instructions will keep getting shorter. So that by the 5th session, the person would have a set of practices which the person can do on her own. And by the end of the course, there'll be a few more repetitions and a few more styles also of doing it shown. So how much the person does it while the session is going on or whether the person just watches and later on plays it on YouTube and tries to do it, will depend upon how much the person already knows. Because a person like you who's an expert will not really have much to learn when it comes to the physical practices. But those who are just beginning, for those whom it's a first experience, they will find it helpful to go through that approach, that graded approach from the first through the fifth session.
Thank you. That sounds wonderful. I look forward to it very, very much.
Thank you. And my apologies to Lawrence. I have not been able to communicate with him. I'll do that today evening. Thank you.
Namaskar, greetings from Mamta and Samarth. We both are actually parents of one of the student who is in Mothers International. Dr. Bijlani, we've attended several sessions that you have done at the ashram as well. You know, those weekend sessions, Saturday, Sunday that you used to do. Really enjoyed that. I was also attending the 8 o'clock morning yoga sessions that that was happening sometime in 2015-16. So since then I have been practicing yoga and wanted to really learn a little bit more about the theoretical part of it, and how to apply all of these techniques in the day-to-day, I would say, the way we conduct ourselves, etc. My question on this one is, my sister also did yoga in the 10th batch, Dr. Bijlani, that you were talking about. Jyoti Agarwal is her name, and when she was doing it, I really found it very fascinating because it was not only about learning this the practical as well as the theoretical aspect, but it was also about testing how much you've learned over the period of time. So in the online courses, how are you planning to do some of those presentations, written tests, etc. as well?
Yes, everything that was done in those physical courses will be in this. The format is different, but the effort will be to try and have everything. There may be some handicaps, but in some respects, it might be even better than what we were doing in the physical courses. And the handicaps we'll try to make up by, as I said, having smaller groups, and by having this opportunity of sending questions by email, which will be answered.
That makes sense. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste everyone. Namaskar. So I'm so happy to be here, and I would like to thank Dr. Bijlani, Ramesh Bhaiya, for putting me on this path of yoga. I have also done this course in 2017, and I came to him. I had suffered a loss of my son, and in 2013, and I had several questions, and I was asking Dr. Bijlani, Ramesh Bhaiya again and again, ye kyun hua? I had so many questions at that point of time. Sorry for my sore throat. Sorry, excuse me. So this course and I was having different experiences, and I was feeling a little, because of those experiences, I felt that, I have gone on it. I was feeling alienated from this world. But this course actually made me realize that it was probably my life now is on a different path, and there's nothing wrong with me. So it validated my experiences first. Secondly, it made me realize now how important my life is, and made me realized the importance of putting yoga into my life 24/7. So not only in terms of asanas and pranayams, like most of you, even I thought that yoga is only doing asanas and pranayams, and I was not a yoga person at all. So I don't know how, by the grace of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, I was put onto this path, and my life changed totally after that. Not only it helped me to put whatever I've learned during that program into my life, but also I got so fascinated by yoga, which was for me yoga and pranayam, asanas and pranayam only. That was my understanding of yoga. But after doing this course, it just opened up the world for me, and it made me realize the more deeper I'm going into it, the more fascinating it is for me now. So for me, this course is now like a refresher's course, and I know at that point of time there's so many things I couldn't absorb. So I'm here again, wanting to learn more, and I know this is again going to change my life and take me to upgrade me a little. So with I know it will do that, because it has changed my life. And thank you, Ramesh Bhaiya, for putting me on this beautiful journey. I never even knew that this kind of world existed, and how beautiful it is to be on that space. So I'm ever will always be grateful to Ramesh Bhaiya for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya, for all those kind words. And I'm glad that it has done so much good to you. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. I have seen other side of the world only because of this book. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to say something or ask some question?
Sir, I have
Tell
a
about what you expect from the course.
Sir, I want to ask that everyone says that you should do yoga every day. So how to develop that habit to do yoga every day?
Well, if we take sort of the dictum, Sri Aurobindo's quote, all life is yoga. Every day we are living, and therefore every day we have an opportunity to practice yoga. So we don't need to set time apart for the practice of yoga. And we can do it every day. But sort of probably what you mean is the yogic physical practices of yoga, asanas and pranayamas. Ideally, we should do them every day, and at least 5 days a week. Regularity is more important than the duration. Although typically a session is about 1 hour, but then we'll also tell you that if you are really short of time, then how you can get quite a bit even in a shorter session of 20 minutes or so. So that is also possible. But of course, I mean, the more effort you put in, the more time you devote, the more you will get. But at the same time, we have compulsions in life, and therefore maintaining some regularity, doing it at least for 20 minutes or so every day is important. The day you have more time, try to extend the practice to about 1 hour. So that would be sort of a general guideline for how we can bring it into our life and also be regular about it. In fact, you'll start enjoying the practice so much that a time will come when you'll start feeling that there's something missing today. You'll start feeling that I really enjoy it, and there's something missing the day I don't do it.
Thank you, sir.
What's your name?
Sir, Kajal.
Hello, good morning, Professor Ramesh. I'm very happy to be here with you. Here in Spain is 5 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, no.
It was an unexpected opportunity to see you again. We meet each to the other in the NAMA International Conference, and I catch the opportunity through your invitation. It's a very nice present you give me. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm trying to continue my presence in your course. Thank you.
Sir, any do's and don'ts for the program or any rules and regulations, like to switch on the camera all the time? Because I have internet connectivity issue here. I'm in Egypt at the moment. So,
Well, the general guideline that was given that you should try to keep your videos on was because, you know, it's better to be talking to faces rather than just screens with your names on. It feels more like a classroom, like a personal contact. But if you have a bandwidth issue with your device, and then it's really better, you'll get a better audio if you keep the video off. You can always do that.
thank you.
My name is Jogendra Bhagat, and I just want to thank for this wonderful opportunity Dr. Bijlani, Aditi, and the whole team has created. It was unthinkable for me, and now I feel truly blessed. So thanks a lot for everything.
Thank you, Jogi ji. Thank you, Jogi ji. Nice to see you.
My name is Sanjana, and I would also like to take the opportunity to thank Dr. Bijlani and team for this wonderful start to the morning. Thank you so much. I'm in deep gratitude. I also wanted to know how much would pranayam be a part of what we are going to be learning, and how can we use this over a period of time to help people with anxiety?
We'll be teaching only 4 very simple pranayamas. And although they are called pranayamas, essentially it is regulating the pattern of breathing. And in that sense, it's more of a shvasayama than pranayama. You see, let me put it frankly. Because pranayama literally means controlling the prana or the life force. Now that is something which is a very advanced accomplishment of a yogi. But at the same time, a beginning has to be made, and the beginning is made with these breathing practices, and that's what we'll also do. 4 simple pranayamas is what we'll continue doing. We'll not go to any advanced pranayamas in this course. Now, when it comes to feeling better or getting feeling more peaceful, which you talked about, again, you'll find that the emphasis throughout the course will be not on techniques, because not only because Sri Aurobindo and the Mother's yoga is not technique intensive, but also because techniques have limitations. No matter how good the pranayama practice is or a meditative practice is, spending half an hour on these practices a day and expecting that one will suddenly feel peaceful all 24 hours is asking for too much from too little. Unless we change our attitude to events and circumstances of life, it will be difficult to stay at peace. So it is how we can look at those events and circumstances of life differently so that we'll be at peace, irrespective of what is going on around us. That is, achieving an independence from external circumstances is what we bring out in this course. Techniques can be facilitators. They can serve as an important aid. But to expect the techniques to do all the miracle and take away all our stress away is expecting too much from too little.
So beautifully said. Thank you so much. Thank you. That does make absolute sense. Thank you. I look forward to starting the course tomorrow.
Namaskar, everyone. Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
I wanted to firstly thank you and everyone, the entire ashram, for organizing this course and giving us the opportunity to be participating in it. One of the key things that I am really interested in learning, and I wanted to know whether to be covered in this course or not, is the techniques of meditation. Whether we'll be walked through how to actually meditate and learn how to do it is something that I wanted to understand.
Yes, there will be a talk on meditation and also one practice session on meditation. But having said that, that will be just a broad guideline. Eventually, how you meditate would depend upon you, and with experience, you'll work out your own way of meditating, because essentially it's a mental device for keeping your for silencing the surface activity of the mind, and secondly, for feeling connected to a higher force, both within you and around you. So how you silence your surface activity of the mind so that this contact with that higher force is facilitated is something for which you'll work out your own way of doing it as you practice meditation every day.
Right, sir. Thank you.
Okay, it seems there are no more questions and comments. So as these questions, some of these questions are brought out, and as it's been coming out every year, year after year in all the courses, the students come with expectations which are quite different from what the course is really like. But then the interesting thing is that they all say that the course was very different from what they expected, but it was much better than what they expected. And that's sort of, if history repeats itself, that's what one would expect this time too. A lot of people have, especially the old students, have tried to praise me and thank me, but for which I'm grateful. But at the same time, I'm only a channel, only an instrument of the mother to pass on to the extent I can, with all my limitations, what she wants to be conveyed to the world. So I'm only an instrument, a channel for a higher force. That's where the words come from. That is where the idea for doing it came from. And that is what will, what has led to a sort of a successful session today. And that is what will lead to whatever she wills in the subsequent sessions. Some of the handicaps, as I said, of these sessions would be that that physical contact, one-to-one contact would be missing, both because we are meeting virtually and because the classroom is too big. But then Aditi has suggested a way out. And the way out is that we can form smaller groups which could meet with each other. Secondly, we could have one-on-one or small group sessions, more formalized. And also, you can always communicate through email, and we'll try to answer every question that is sent through email. Before we close, we'll once again invoke the divine through a bhajan sung by one of the members of our team, Dr. Mithu Pal, who is more than a singer, devotee of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, and by profession, she's an educationist. She's the academic supervisor at the Cambridge School.
श्री अरविंद भक्ति प्रणाम, श्री अरविंद भक्ति प्रणाम। अति मानस के ज्योतित सरसिज, दिव्य जगत जीवन के वर द्विज। चिदानंद के स्वर्णिम मनसिज, चिदानंद के स्वर्णिम मनसिज। ज्योति धाम सज्ञान प्रणाम, ज्योति धाम सज्ञान प्रणाम। श्री अरविंद भक्ति प्रणाम, श्री अरविंद भक्ति प्रणाम। दिव्य तुम्हारा परम तपोबल, अमृत ज्योति से भर दे भूतल। दिव्य तुम्हारा परम तपोबल, अमृत ज्योति से भर दे भूतल। सफल मनोरथ सृष्टि हो सकल, सफल मनोरथ सृष्टि हो सकल। श्री ललाम निष्काम प्रणाम, श्री ललाम निष्काम प्रणाम। श्री अरविंद भक्ति प्रणाम, श्री अरविंद भक्ति प्रणाम। विश्वात्मा के नव विकास तुम, परम चेतना के प्रकाश तुम। विश्वात्मा के नव विकास तुम, परम चेतना के प्रकाश तुम। ज्ञान भक्ति के श्री के विलास तुम, ज्ञान भक्ति श्री के विलास तुम। पूर्ण प्रकाम सकर्म प्रणाम, पूर्ण प्रकाम सकर्म प्रणाम। श्री अरविंद भक्ति प्रणाम, श्री अरविंद भक्ति प्रणाम। अति मानस के ज्योतित सरसिज, दिव्य जगत जीवन के वर द्विज। चिदानंद के स्वर्णिम मनसिज, चिदानंद के स्वर्णिम मनसिज। ज्योति धाम सज्ञान प्रणाम, ज्योति धाम सज्ञान प्रणाम। श्री अरविंद भक्ति प्रणाम, श्री अरविंद भक्ति प्रणाम। श्री अरविंद भक्ति प्रणाम।
So this is where we come to the end of our inaugural session today. And I would like to really begin with thanking Tara Didi for taking out time and lighting the lamp and giving it such a beautiful start. With Mother's grace, we have all come together for this collective exploration. And as Dr. Bijlani mentioned, that we are a very small team of dedicated people who are, you can't see on the screen, maybe sometimes you might see me and of course everyday sir. But I would really like to extend my thanks to the team as well, who is helping us run this program well. And one thing which I would like to share is that with self-discipline, we will venture into the self-exploration together. So I'm really looking forward to this collective exploration. And we will be sharing with you the course curriculum. Few of you have mentioned in the chat box. The welcome email which we have received has the course link. So if you will go to the course link, you will have the entire schedule of the program which will run till the 3rd of March. And still, if you are not able to access it, you can always send any email with any query you have at SA150. Yes, you have already been receiving mails from that email ID. So I hope you have added that to your contact by now. So any query during the course, anything you have, you can just send it across to that email and I will try and answer them as quickly as possible. And one of you also questioned about the do's and don'ts. So that is a very general, so to speak, that our request will be to keep your mic on mute during the session. And you can keep your videos on preferably. It's always good, as Sir said, to look at you and speak. But if your bandwidth is not allowing, it's okay to just keep the video off and be present for the class. So these are the two requests we have. And also once the session finishes and the floor is open for question answers, preferably you can keep your videos on at least then when you're interacting with Sir. And there are two options. You can either type it in the chat and Sir will try and answer that question, or you can just raise your hand and wait for your turn. And then we can like just unmute you and you can ask your question. And in case, because of short of time, we are not able to really bring in all the questions in the session, again, you can always write your question to the email address, which you all have, so that maybe in the subsequent session or in the group sessions, which we are hoping to make it a part of this course, we can bring in those questions and queries in those sessions. So that can also be done. So basically the bottom line is please feel to engage as much as possible through a conversation, through email, so that we can really have this collective exploration in a very fruitful manner. So this is what we had to offer today. We will end with a meditative music. So I'll just play that music and we can meditate, and then you can just silently leave the meeting. So this is what I would put in my request. So thank you so much once again, all of you, for joining me today. And tomorrow we will be having our second session, which will be on about Sri Aurobindo. And again, if you see the curriculum on the website, you will know the subsequent sessions. So tomorrow 8:30, we end with the music meditation.
Om